Hello and welcome back to Ask Your Aunties. My name is Paz.
My name is Shanae. I was trying to hold that in so bad.
That's okay. I know we have been away for quite some time. We've both been busy being adults. We have a number of things on our plates, but we took out some time to do a bit of filming and we're back.
Yes, and what were you doing in that time, sister? Tell them your news.
Oh my goodness. I was trying to secure a home loan so I can get my construction going. I've secured my home loan now, so now I'm stress-free.
Yay!
Oh, I've been so stressed. Like I've felt like I couldn't do anything other than that. But what about you? What have you been up to?
Sis, I've been busy. My Mick's been working flat out. All right. By the time this comes out, everyone will already know, but I'm going on tour. So I'm doing a little mini New Zealand comedy tour with some other boys that you guys know and love, but I'm not gonna ruin too much in case we do release this before. But yeah, I've been organizing the tour. I've been organizing a few other little projects on the side. You know the vibes. But we're back and we're ready to podcast. And I'm actually really so happy to be here today, sis.
Me too. I'm really excited. So today we're going to kind of discuss something that's very sad.
Today, guys, we're going to be touching on grief and, losing people that are really close to us, even just losing someone in our family. It's super hard and it's a really tricky thing to navigate, especially if they passed away before their time, and they weren't able to, grow old and live life with us. It can be quite traumatic, and it is hard to try and figure out, okay, how do we heal? How do we move on? And how do we go forward with life?
That's right. And I think because I've been through that personally, my brother passed away in November, and Sade has also gone through that recently as well.
Yeah.
So we thought it was appropriate to, discuss this topic because it's not a topic that gets discussed often. And,
No.
Some people are hesitant to share how they're feeling or what they've been through. I'm very open. I like to share what I'm going through, what I've been through, what happened to him, because it helps me heal. Keeping it in does not help me heal. I will explode otherwise. But that's why we're sharing this today.
Yeah, 100%, sis, because, it's all well and good, when it's fresh, everyone's around, you've got your family there for the tangi and, you've got that support around you. But what do you do in the days, weeks, months, years after you've lost that person? How do you move forward with your life, and how do you do that in a really healthy way? Because I think that's what a lot of people do struggle with. So, I'll just use my nana as an example. So she recently lost her partner last year of 10 years, bless their souls. And, I came to know him really well. And, I came to love him like a grandfather. And seeing the way he treated my nan, it made me so happy that she was happy. And now, now that he's gone, I have noticed some things that are a bit of a symptom of grief. Like I would stay at my nana's house and, I'd get woken up to her screaming in the middle of the night, screaming out for Bill, like screaming out for, like, babe, where are you? Like, it breaks my heart, because these are the things that people who are going through grief are dealing with silently.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess that's like part of grieving. Obviously, I've done a video on my channel about the 7 stages of grief, and I've said it in that video. There is no like rhyme or rhythm to grief. You don't go through it, step by step at all. And some days I'm like, okay, yep, that happened. I accept it. Some days I'm like, no, that's not real. That didn't happen, So you just kind of go back and forth all the time. And I'll share something that I've been recently dealing with, I guess struggling with, not dealing with. I'll wake up in the morning and I'll go back to the day that I found out he had passed. And I get that sudden anxiety where it's like, they're going to come knocking. That police knock is like I don't know how to explain it. It's like a universal like knock where
it's alarming because they bang, like they don't just
yeah, exactly. And this was like 6 a.m. in the morning. My husband is up getting ready for work. My mom's not at home. My dad's asleep. I was asleep. My husband goes downstairs, opens the door. They say my brother's name. Do you know him? My brother's like, yeah, that's my brother. What do you mean? Like, why are you here? And they're like, oh, is his family here? You know, is anyone else in the house? And he's like, yeah, my wife, his sister is here. I go downstairs. I see them instantly in my heart. I start panicking, like, what is going on? Then, they tell me. And at first, I wasn't comprehending what was being told. Like, I was like, what? Oh, okay, where can I go see him? And they're like, no, you haven't understood what we're saying to you. And I'm like, say it again, because I don't know what you're saying to me. They tell me again, okay. And you in the movies you see like crying, you burst out crying, you're like frantic. That was not me. I was kind of like in shock because I didn't know how to react. So I'm just like, oh, all right. My dad's asleep upstairs. I have to go get him. I get my dad. He comes downstairs, same thing. He doesn't know how to react. He just sits there in silence.
Yeah.
So there's like this silence. The cops are there. They were lovely. They were amazing at delivering the news. They were amazing because my mom wasn't at home. She was already at work. She worked the night shift. So she wasn't even aware my brother had left the house. She had no, I fell asleep before he left the house. The only person knew that he had left the house was my dad. So he was like, I'll be right back. I have work in the morning anyways. So he leaves. So then I'm calling my mom. My dad's in no position to speak. He does not know what's happening anymore. Like he's not here anymore. Call my mom. You need to come home right now. She's like, why? I'm like, something's happened. I can't say it over the phone. You need to drive home right now. Tell your boss something, but you need to come home. She comes home and her reaction, her scream, I will never in my life forget that scream. Like it was like it makes you like feel sick the way she screamed, She was like, "No, you're wrong. You're wrong. That's not my son. Are you sure that's my son?" And they're like, no, we're sure. His friends were there. They identified him. That's him. We checked his ID. His wallet was in his pocket. That morning, everything else after, I don't think about much. There's two events that I think about the most. It's that morning. Every morning I wake up and I'm like, there's going to be a knock on the door. I'm back to that day. And it's like a cycle over and over again. It's something that like I don't think I'll ever be able to forget or get over. And maybe it's linked to still being in this house because we haven't moved out yet, but just having to like
triggers.
Yes, because everything is still the same, apart from him just not being here. And my parents, they're still going through it. They also have PTSD, from that day. And I think that would have been one of the most hardest days we've gone through as a family because it was so unexpected. He was only 19.
Yeah. Way too young, sis.
Way too young. And like, if anything, I would, I'd rather go than him. Like I'd give up my life for him. And he was my only sibling. And it took me a long time to kind of think about, I guess I have this thought in my head and I don't know if it's the right thought to have at this point, but it's like, once my parents are gone, as morbid as that sounds, once they're gone, I don't have anyone. Like,
you got me, girl.
You
got me, girl, right?
Of course. Of course I have you, but like if you just think about it, I don't have someone to be like, remember that time we were younger? Mom and dad this or mom and dad that. Remember when you did this to me? Like I have no one to have those conversations with.
Aww.
And I think about that sometimes and I'm like, fuck, I have no one. He was my only sibling.
It's the little thing, eh?
Yeah, it is the little things. And my husband's like, well, you have me, you have your son. I'm like, it's not the same. I can't discuss these memories with you because you weren't there.
Yeah. You grew up with him. He was like your best friend growing up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the one other thing that was like kind of torturous was our funerals take freaking 16 days.
So do you want to explain like kind of the process that you guys have to go through in your culture, sis? Because it is so much different to say like a Māori or Samoan funeral.
Yes. So we're Hindu and we're South Indian because my dad's South Indian. So we have to follow like his ways. And if my brother was alive, he would say, I don't want any of this. Just have the funeral and be done with it. Like I know him for like to a T. He would be like, what the fuck are are you doing all this shit for? But I'll explain it from what I remember. So we find out, we call families over, let them know what's happened. And then we start consulting with like our pundits, which are priests. And because my dad is South Indian, it's 16 days long. So those 16 days, every single day, there's something on. So we have like our Gita, which is like a Bible for us. They'll come over, people will come over, there'll be like finger foods. Some people don't eat food from houses that have people that have passed, and during those 16 days they won't eat anything. Some people, they're okay. It's just depending on your belief. So we'll make sure that everything's cooked, ready for people to come over. While you're grieving, you have to please everybody else, pretty much.
That's weird. Everyone
Yeah,
should be having to look after you.
exactly. So one thing to begin with, as soon as we found out that he had passed, we cannot cook anything in the house for a few days. I'm not sure how long, right? So they cooked and they would bring stuff over. And we were lucky enough to have such a good support system. People gave us money, people gave us food, people gave us groceries. Like, it was over the top. Like, my dad is that type of person. He's a giving person. So when it was his turn to, I guess, receive, he received abundantly.
Yeah.
So they come, they read a passage from the Bible, and then they do like singing and all that stuff to please the gods. So leading up to his funeral, I think his funeral, we did it on the 5th of December. He passed on the 29th, 30th November. I say 29th, 30th because he passed just after midnight.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know, my brother drowned. He was out with friends. He fell in or tripped in, jumped in, I don't know. There was CCTV footage. We're unsure exactly how he got into the water, but he got into the water and he drowned. His body was found 4 hours later, after they did a search. During those 4 hours, his friends were calling me, but my phone was on Do Not Disturb. I am so thankful that I did not answer that phone call, because I think those 4 hours would have been torture for us. Yep. And I think my parents would have jumped into the water, and they can't swim.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad. But sorry, sidetracked back to where I was going.
Okay. It's relevant.
So many information. But so with the 16 days, so we did the funeral on the 5th. So that was like 4 or 5 days after. We had found out they were doing postmortem. Autopsy, yeah. So they had said that they couldn't find the cause and they were doing extra stuff. So we had just thought it was going to be simple. He drowned, but they wanted to know exactly, like, did he, hit his head on something and then he was unconscious underneath, or, they were trying to figure it out. We haven't received the reports yet. We haven't requested them. I think it's a bit too traumatizing, to be fair.
Because it makes you feel like what they went through, and then you feel like, fuck, man, that is so just traumatic.
Very. And so then, like, I said to my parents, I don't think we need to know. Like, the death certificate will come, it'll tell us the cause, we'll just go off that. So it was drowning. He did drown. And so then with his funeral, I had to organize everything. My parents were in like no position to like organize a funeral, like the going to the church, getting all the stuff done. Like, they just weren't. I had to sign off on my brother's funeral. I had to sign off that they could cremate him, because in my religion, you cannot move on unless you're cremated. So signing that off was something that, like, I never thought I would do.
No.
So,
it's not something you'd think, oh yeah, one day I'm going to be... So
if anything, I would be signing his marriage certificate, as a witness, not his, funeral stuff. So my brother was a very colorful person. He loved his vivid colors. He was a party person, loved having a good time. He did not give a fuck about his future. He just wanted to party. So keeping that in mind, and keeping in mind in my religion, you're supposed to wear all white to funerals. Like having color at funerals is like you're celebrating, like you shouldn't do that, you know? So I spoke to my parents and I said, look, he was a very colorful person. And, you know, he once did say, if I was to die, I want you guys to have a party for me.
Oh.
And so that's what we did. We said to everybody, no one can wear all white. Everyone is to wear whatever they want. You know, you're going to a party, we're celebrating his life. And that's exactly what we did. We wore colors, all like my cousins, my family, friends, everybody wore colors, things that he would like. His coffin was white, and they all wrote messages and letters to put inside or on top of the coffin. And the funeral service was really, really beautiful. I did a speech. I have a fear of talking in front of like a large crowd, but I just felt like I needed to.
You did
Yeah,
really
I had strength like to do that. Um, it was all lovely. We had some Maori friends that did like what do you call it, sis?
a haka.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you watched
Hey,
it.
how's about me? How's about me in my bedroom on the live fucking singing it along with them?
You,
Hey, that was
it,
just my little way of, being there.
yeah. So that happened, and then we had to walk his, like they put it in a hearse, and we had
Yeah.
to walk him to like the cremation place. But before all of that, before we got to the like church, we had to do some prayers. So I had to marry him off to a banana leaf. So you can't move on unless you're married. So I had to marry him off to a banana plant, and then that banana plant was in his coffin with him, because when he gets cremated, he needs to be cremated with all that stuff so he can take
Wow.
it on with him. So we had to do prayers. We viewed his body. The moment I saw him, it was like he was asleep. There was no color changes. He looked fresh. I went out and I picked his final outfit. I bought him, you know, his branded gear, sent him off with Jordans, Nikes. I did, because he would wear all those. His Jordans was his like prized
Yeah,
possession.
Jordan's collection is low key like fire.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm
So
coming to roll with them.
no, we're definitely keeping them. Like his
Yeah.
room is still the same. Like we haven't changed anything with his room. So seeing him like that, you just like my mom was like, wake up. She was like the whole time, she's like, wake up now. Come on, wake up. She like lost it. And my dad was like really quiet, and like he was crying, but he was super quiet, and like he didn't want to like, I don't know what, he didn't want to like people to think that he's like being over the top or anything. So he was just really quiet. My mom was like losing it. She was like, wake up, please wake up now, please. God says, you know, there's always miracles happening. Wake up. You can wake up now. It's fine. Wake up. We'll deal with it. Wake up. You know, she was just like saying all that stuff. And I was like, fuck.
Do you know when my grandfather died, sis? He died when I was like 11.
Yeah.
And it was like my father. And when they brought the coffin home, I was doing the same thing. I was like, wake up, like this isn't real. It's the processing of like this has actually happened, which is the
Yeah.
hardest bit, where you
Yes.
where you make the connection. Okay, they've passed away, they've gone, I'm not going to see them anymore. And that's a hard thing, because your brain tricks you, and it's always in denial, being like, no, if you don't want it to be real, your brain will make it that it's not. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
So I can fully understand.
Yeah, and then doing the viewing, we had like a few. We're not everyone was allowed because of COVID. Fucking COVID fucked it all up. But my nana, she flew in from NZ, and she just made it to the viewing. Like they had just picked her up, and she came straight away, and she was there. So it was so good to have her here. And like my mom's parents weren't able to attend because that would like last minute getting them here from Fiji was just not possible, but we did live stream. Like I said, you watched it. It was a beautiful service. His favorite song was played. because it was a song he would sing in the shower while he was playing his games in his room. We had heard that song so many times, we were sick of it because he was so in love with that song. And so yeah, so funeral happens, we come home, and then there's some prayers. So my dad, he takes on the responsibility of doing all the rituals. Someone needs to take the responsibility. So my dad did. So meaning my dad has to, so he has to be pure and has to use pure things, right? So he has to sleep on the floor, no mattress.
That's right.
Yes. No one can touch him. My son, he's a baby, he can touch him fine, but no one can touch him, hug him. No one can be too close to him. He sleeps on the floor. He has to have fresh food made for him. He can't shave. He can't use soap. He can't use Colgate until all of the prayers are over. So then while we were doing the 16 days, we were then waiting for his ashes. Now, speaking of ashes, the second hardest thing I had to do and witness was my brother's coffin going into the infirmatory.
Yep, I hate that, bro.
And the scream my mom had like produced was, I thought she was gonna pass out, because like that vision is like ingrained in my head. Like I cannot get rid of it. Whatever I do, I cannot. Like the scream my mom had, my nana was there because it was a private, like it was very private. So it was just me, my husband, my mom and dad.
Family hiatus.
Just immediate, yeah. And thankfully we had a lot of support, and like we had like my uncles and aunties there that like kind of held it together for us. How do you come back from that? They open the shutters and you have to say yes, burn him, pretty much. Like you have to give them a nod.
Because when I see that shit happening, I'm like, I don't want them to be burned. Like that's scary. And
Yeah.
do you know, sis, even with the whole mind tricks thing, yeah, like when my nana's partner passed away last year and they got him cremated. You know, I know this sounds a little bit out the gate, but sometimes a little part of me is like, but what if they wake up during it? Like,
Yes.
bro.
So yeah, so that happens, and then so we're waiting for the ashes. We wait for the ashes. The day of the ashes, this is gonna sound so freaking, like people obviously don't have to believe this, but this really happened. I saw it with my own eyes. So my auntie, my mom's cousin, picks up the ashes for us because it's quite far away, so she lives closer. So she was gonna like meet my dad halfway. So when we receive the ashes are not allowed to come to the house because we believe that they won't leave. So my dad met her halfway to go do prayer. So this is when my dad shaves off all of his hair, along with another person. It needs to be like odd numbers. So it was my dad, my uncle, and my uncle's son that shaved off their hair. While they went, because my brother will not have a resting place. We don't believe in resting places. I find that like very hard to deal with and like to accept that I don't have like a place, you know?
Yeah.
So his ashes need to be spread into the sea so that he can move on, because the sea is very sacred for us. So my dad takes him halfway. So as soon as we hear that the ashes have been collected and my aunt is on the way, all the house's power goes out, right?
Whoa.
And my mom's like, oh, they were cooking in the middle of cooking. Mom's like, oh my God, the power went out. So then they go to the power box, which is like, so you have to go through a hallway, and off to the side is like a room, which is our prayer room. And it's got my brother's like picture, and there's like a light up tree that my mom put there. She like kind of decorated it to make it look nice. That tree is still lit up. No power to the house.
What?
It's connected to the wall. You need power in order for it to light up.
What the hell, bro?
I saw it. Like, I was like, what?
My heart, I wouldn't be able to take it.
I was talking about it. Yeah. And then, okay, that happens. She's like, well, that's weird. We turn on the power breaker, fine, like everything's fine. And then a couple of like maybe 20, 30 minutes later, when like my dad's like, we're almost about to reach to the area where we're going to do the thing. My mom is outside. she's trying to, she washed some clothes and she's trying to put them on the clothesline. The clothesline is undone and it falls. So she picks it up. She's like, what the fuck? It just happened in front of her eyes. She picks it up. My nana's outside with her. They're having a conversation. She picks it up and she's like, it's like someone's playing tug of war with her. She's like,
Bruh.
yeah, like my nana's like, what is happening? Why aren't you like, she's like, I can't, what the fuck? I can't pick it up because it's like someone's playing tug of war with me. She then says, she, like, my brother had a very distinct body odor. Okay. Teenage boys. And she's like, I can smell his body odor
It's so
around me when
It's-
I have still saying this, when that's happening.
No, sis,
And
after my auntie passed away, we were driving to Auckland one time and we could smell her perfume in the car with us.
oh
And we were
my God, that is, yeah.
like, why does it smell like Donna in here? Because none of us had the perfume. I can't remember which one it was. It was like Red Door or something, you know, but none of us wore that. So yeah, it was freaky. I've had freaky shit happen like that too, where I'm like,
Yeah.
is this real? What's really happening right now?
Exactly. And then on the night of his passing, I was feeding Arnav, my son, and I had said to him, I was on FaceTime with my best friend because we were both crying together. And I said, Chris, if you're here, can you just give me a sign you're okay? And there's like no fans are on, no heaters are on at that time, right? It was December, it was fucking hot. And a plastic bag started like crinkling in my room. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. That's enough.
Yeah, that's enough now. Thanks. Yeah, got it.
Thank you. I freaked the fuck out. I was like, nope. I was like, okay, thanks, man. Gotcha. And like little things have been happening here and there, but nothing that like scary. I've had a few dreams where I've had conversations with him and I've asked him things and he's answered. Because I'm very spiritually open, and like I said to him, I'm not scared. Come to my, and no one has to believe me, trust me. But I've had a few dreams and stuff. But you know, with the 16 days, there's so many people are over. You like don't have time to kind of grieve.
Or
You
even
don't
click onto what's going on.
nothing. So with those 16 days, like I don't really have time to grieve. I only took like a week off work. I was working throughout because I just needed some type of like normalcy. I don't know.
Normalcy.
Yeah, in my life. So I was still working. My husband had gone back to work too because we were just like, you know, if we sit here and ponder upon what's happened, we're just never going to be the same.
Yeah.
So we start working, and you know, my nana's here. She leaves after like 2 months, I think. She was here for a good amount of time. It was good to have her because the house felt full. She leaves, and then, like you said before, it's when everyone's gone is when you realize what's really happened.
Yeah.
You know, during that time, we had visits to the cop station, the cop shop, having conversations with them with what's happened. You know, his friends were the only ones there. We wanted to make sure nothing bad had happened to him, and it was just purely accidental. So once they leave, I start having like a lot of mental health issues because I'm finding it very hard to cope. It's very hard to express how I feel in front of my parents because I can't imagine losing a son. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine losing Arnav. So I have not cried in front of my parents apart from the funeral day. Yeah, it's just been so difficult. Like I understand that sometimes you need closure, but I don't think we have it yet.
No.
And I don't think we will.
It's sad, sis, because you know, you don't get over it, you just get used to it, you know?
Yeah. You learn to live with it.
You learn to live with it because, you know, I lost my grandfather when I was 11, and like I said before, he was like my father, you know, and I wish all the time, I was like, oh my God, I just wish he was here, you know? So you don't actually like get past it. You just get used to it. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I'm start crying. all the sad talks that made me cry.
I almost cried, but I think one of the beautiful things is, yeah, with our like my religion is we do like a day. I think that's one of the last days we do like offer him all of his favorite things to eat. And he was a smoker, so we all had to like smoke. My mom would smoke. My
What,
dad
marijuana?
not marijuana, but we
Oh,
smoked cigarettes. We smoked cigarettes, and it was so awkward doing it in front of family. Like
have you never smoked in front of your family, girl?
you had to smoke in front of everybody.
My
So
gosh.
only us immediate family, my dad, my mom, me, my husband, my child. He didn't smoke. Um, and my uncle and auntie and their kids, they didn't smoke, not the kids because it was illegal. But we had to share the meal, all just us, and we had to eat it while everyone else was in another room. And then we had to smoke that cigarette. And we didn't offer any alcohol. Did we offer? I think we did offer like a Corona. I'm not sure. But the last night we had a massive party with his friends. We had like a massive drink up. There was some drama, fights with the neighbor. It was a lot. But it was good because all of his friends were over. They all had a blast, had a good time remembering him. We sat around, we talked about him quite a bit. And it was just really nice to have them over. And I'm still in contact with them. They all check up on me. I'm their sister for life now.
Oh,
It's so nice. And like, some of them have some problems. They come over and talk to me about it. So cute.
bless them.
I know. And I've had a few of them come over and like just break down. And one of them looks exactly like my brother with the afro and everything. And one time he was standing by the door at nighttime and he knocked. And like my mom almost had a heart attack thinking it was Chris. Because they look so alike, they dress alike, they look alike, they're the same height. And my nana was like, "Oh my God, is that him? What the fuck is going on?" And he had come because he's like, "I didn't even think of it. Like, I walked over here because I had to talk to someone." And I said, "Look, it's fine. You could just don't scare me like this again."
Yeah, hard out.
Yeah,
Oh no.
it was a lot, but it's been a lot, and I'm slowly trying to figure out what normal is. It's been a few months, but it's not something you get over, you know, like that.
No.
It's not. No. And I haven't been to the place where he drowned. It's called Docklands. If you're here in Australia, you know exactly where that is in Melbourne. Um, I don't have the courage to go anywhere near it. Like I have refused to go into the office because it goes past like that water place, and I don't want to be anywhere near it. I don't go those ways anymore. I don't want to see it. I don't want to know about it. Like I don't want anything to do with it at all. Like my parents have been a couple of times and they've left pictures of him. My cousins have been, a few family members have been. Some of them went like literally the day after or on the day he passed, which I find highly disrespectful. Like, what are you playing detective for? It's so disrespectful. And like, there's been multiple things that have happened that have been very disrespectful. I think it's so, so, so disgusting when people come over and ask you things like, was he on drugs? Was
You
he
don't
depressed?
ask that shit. You just
Did
don't
he
ask
kill
that.
himself?
Especially when people are fucking grieving you fucking. Some people just have no sense of social, what do you call it? Like they just don't have any social skills. You know,
No, like,
you don't just go and ask someone that. Like you can't just go
no,
to someone's house where someone has just passed away and be like, so were they on drugs? Like keep your assumptions to yourself, bro. You know.
exactly. I was so fucking because I was on like a protective, like I was very protective
You're
during.
like, see.
Yeah, I was very protective. So when like because I wasn't around when they had asked, but there was multiple times where people were like, "Oh, was he like depressed? Was he suicidal?"
Bro, I would no shit. I would have punched him in the face. I would not have any other like. I would just be like, "Fuck up," you know. Like,
Exactly.
why?
Exactly.
Oh, why are you asking this? Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
We many people have asked us this, and I feel like it's so fucking inappropriate.
it
First of
is.
all, and my
It
dad
really
like.
is,
Do you know what else is inappropriate, which obviously everyone's curious about and think it's normal, is to ask people what happened?
bro. I never ask. Like, if I've heard that someone's passed away, I don't go asking questions. Like, it's not like, oh, how? as if the person passing away isn't traumatic enough, but making the people that are closest to them explain again and again and again and again and again is pretty disrespectful, I think.
Yeah.
People you need to give people time, and they will come and tell you when they are ready.
Yes.
I hate it when I'm purposely trying to keep something private and everyone keeps asking you about it, and it's like, well, you're just making me not want to tell you even more.
Exactly.
That's just my petty ass.
No, exactly. And like I saw my dad explaining it, reliving it over and over and over again. And I reached a point where I was like, Dad, you are not answering any more phone calls. You are not explaining anything to anybody. You don't owe anybody an explanation. This is getting out of hand because my parents were like, they'll hang up the phone, collect themselves, phone rings again. Oh,
Right.
yes, my son did pass. Oh, what happened? Then they feel obligated to explain it, and then they start crying again, and then it's stressful for me because I'm like, I don't want my parents to have like a mental breakdown over this.
Yeah.
I need my parents too.
I like, sis, if that was my parents, and if I was in your shoes, I would have told everyone to get fucked.
Oh, I
No
wrote a
shit.
Facebook message. I wrote a
Oh
fucking
no, I remember seeing us like, stop asking, it's so fucking rude. And I was like, you get it, girl, and I gave you a heart. All right.
yeah. Yeah, no, because it's okay if someone is willing to explain it. That's
Yeah.
different to you being like, what happened? Oh, how did he drown? Oh, what time was it? Like
That's the
so
last
many
thing we talk about.
I don't want to fucking tell you over and over again, yes, he drowned. No, he was not on drugs. No, he was not suicide. Like, are you going to bring him back?
Yeah. What are you going to do about the situation?
Yeah.
What relevance does this information have to you? Literally none. You're just being fucking nosy.
Yeah, exactly. And fuck, man, I don't even know what to tell you. Like, I was so pissed off around that time. I was very protective of them, and I was ready to go off at anybody just because my parents were like, no, don't say anything. Like, everyone's I was like, fuck that. And then she's like, "Hey, what you're talking?"
I would have been like, nah. Everyone else should
Yeah.
watch the clouds.
And like one time, my nana's sister called and she was asking questions or she was saying something and made my mom cry. I was like, who's making you cry? And she heard me.
Like a big sister. Right, where are they? Where are they? Show me which one it was. Which one are you?
Yep. I was like, I was literally, her phone's here and I'm like, here. I'm like, who's making you cry, mom?
I love that you give no fucks, bro. Oh, it's amazing.
And then I went off at my nana and I was like, why are you giving her phone to people that are going to make her cry? You should know better. And
Yeah.
my nana went off at me. She was like, oh, then I won't say anything. And I was like,
No, don't. Nah.
yeah.
Sorry,
I literally don't. I
love
went off at her. I was like, nah. I was like, don't. I was like, you don't get to talk to me like that. No. I don't want to see my parents cry. That's the first time I went off at her, and my mom was like,
top off, sis.
well, it's just so rare to fight anyone. But yeah, it's been a difficult process.
So what are you doing now? What are you doing now to kind of heal from this very traumatic thing that's happened in your life?
I am trying
Tell me about your little hustle.
Oh yes. I'm trying to make more videos to, show people that there is life after death per se for us that are still living and still have to deal with the loss. I'm still trying to make my brother proud and do things that we had talked about doing together, do things that I know he would be so impressed by and, be so proud to call me his sister. So I've, said it before, I've started a YouTube channel. I am still kind of figuring that out into what I like doing and what I don't like doing filming wise. I am working on, have not launched yet, a book subscription business where there will be a number of subscriptions available to people on a monthly basis, as well as children up to the age of, I guess, like from 0 to adulthood. I'll have a range available for kids. Still working on that, still figuring out the kinks. I've gotten a home loan approved. First one in, I guess, my family to have a home loan approved and have a home built. Hopefully everything goes smoothly with that. Yeah, I'm just trying to do things that make me happy. I am going to a therapist to talk about these issues. I had been given anti-anxiety medication. It just didn't work for me. Each to their own. Some people love it, some people don't. I'm not the type to love medication. I really do not like taking them. So I did give it a go and it just wasn't for me. I didn't like the feeling that came from it. So I am trying alternative things. Doing this with you has been
Oh,
therapy for me.
smashing life.
And
But do you
honestly, like
find
I
that
said to
keeping
you,
yourself busy has been kind of the best medium for you to not move on or move past it, but to kind of like start living a new normal, living a new kind of life?
yes, because I have anxiety, depression, ADHD, I work best in a high stress environment. I can't function when I have nothing to do.
Same actually.
Yeah.
Like I need my plate loaded the fuck up and then I'll just smash through everything.
Yes, that's
That's
like
been
me.
my vibe too.
Yeah, constantly need to be doing something. And if I sit down and think about this, I'm going to be so depressed. I'm not going to get anything done. I have a child to think of. I have bills to pay. I have loans to pay for now. So that's why I'm trying to kind of create income streams for myself where I'm happy with what I'm doing. I love reading, and I've subscribed to a book subscription myself. I get books bi-monthly.
Yeah.
It's an reading books is an escape for me because then I'm in that world that my author has created, and I'm
Yeah.
not thinking about my problems. So that, like, since I was a kid, that's always been my escape. I've always been a bookworm. So having a business that I enjoy is something that, like, I've worked so hard to actually have the opportunity to create a business like this. So I'm hoping to launch it by the end of this month. I am a bit scared and I have anxiety from it, but I'm hoping that I can, be successful and show my son that, regardless of tragedy, you can still function and still make something of yourself. You don't have to lose it all together.
Yeah.
And this loss is just a learning experience. He still remembers my brother. He's one, sees his photo. Mama means uncle. He says, Mama. He still remembers. He goes to his room and, touches his things and says, Mama. And he's like telling us it's his stuff. So it's really nice to know that they did get to spend that year together.
Yeah.
And, he got to celebrate his birthday, and I'm just so glad that he got to meet my son. And I'm also sad that he won't get to meet my future children if I decide to have any more.
I know.
And all I
He's
have
watching
is,
over you, sister. You
yeah.
know, all these things that are going well for you right now, he's got a hand in. You know, he's watching over you.
Thank you. That really, I appreciate it. But you need to tell me about how you've kind of dealt with your grief, and your losing your family members.
Yeah. So because I come from like a big Māori Samoan family, uncles are all over, aunties all over, you know, I have 6 grandparents because I have a stepdad, you know, my dad and then my mum. So I have like a really big family. So I have lost a lot of them over the years. Um I mean, the first time I remember losing someone really, really significant to my life was actually my Auntie Donna. And I was only 10 years old. And she'd pretty much raised me. You know, she was the one that picked me up from kindy because, you know, mum and everyone else was at work. And, you know, she was just in our lives constantly. And then, you know, back then, I don't know. I guess in a way, as a coping mechanism, all the deaths that I've had throughout my family, because I've had a lot of close people pass away, I've kind of just brushed it to the side a little bit and kind of just almost in a way try and forget about them. Like, I know that it's really sad, but that's like my coping, and that's kind of the way that I've done it. Because then, not long after I lost my auntie, I lost my grandfather the year after. And my cousin and my brother actually came to pick me up from school. I got called to the office and they were like, oh, my brother was only 5 and he goes, you know, granddad's died. So I screamed the office down, bro. I like fully screamed the office down. And everything after that, bro, no shit, everything after that was a blur. Like, I can't remember anything else other than going in the car and then going to the hospital. And then the next thing I remember is just seeing my granddad, you know, and it just feels so unreal when you see someone that you've known your whole life and then they're gone. But I think at that stage, you know, and then, bro, oh my God. And then the next year, literally a full year after, we lost Lavita's nan. So
I
my
remember.
sister. Yeah, so that was a lot of grief in 3 years for my young self to handle. And then the way that I dealt with it, yeah, was just kind of sweeping it under the carpet, like, oh, you know, they're just away on holiday, you know, they're just somewhere else for now. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry.
Please don't.
You know, I know they're always like watching over us and stuff, but yeah. And this is what happens when you don't deal with your emotions. You end up crying like 20 years later.
I don't think it's something that will leave you. So you're always gonna have that. Oh, I'm sorry. I wish I could hug you right now.
Oh, it's all right. Here you go. No, it's just like thinking about it now that, yeah, about how I felt back then was, yeah, it was a lot of loss for me, and I was really, really, really young. And then we didn't have anyone pass away in our family for like ages, and then my nana died in like 2011. That was okay to deal with because she was 95, bro. You know, like she lived her life, she'd gone through it all. So that was more of like a happy celebration of life kind of funeral. And then who passed away after that? Oh yeah, and then like in the last couple of years, yeah, I've had like my uncle pass away, my nan's partner, and then actually just last month my uncle committed suicide. So, you know, it's a little bit still thing to talk about, but I do want to kind of touch on his experience because he did suffer from, like, you know, mental health. And he actually did ask for help a lot, and he did seek it out. You know, he tried everything, you know, and in the end he just couldn't find his peace, which, you know, and then it resulted in how it ended, you know. So yeah, I mean, you know, there's so many different ways of people that have passed away in my family. So I've kind of had like everything, you know. I've had grandparents or aunties or uncles die too young. I've had, you know, nans who have passed away, you know, that I've lived a good life. I've had people pass away from cancer, and yeah, obviously suicide. So, you know, I guess for all of them, in a way, I just want to make them proud, you know, and I just try and live my life as authentically as possible, and yeah, just want to make them proud.
Yes,
you know?
and they are so proud of you, let me tell you. And I'm sure my brother is watching us, and he's always going to be proud of us. And I said to you before when we were discussing this over the phone, we reconnected for a reason, and this was it.
Girl, this was buzzy as
yeah.
It was so buzzy. Because I mean, like, we didn't like lose touch, because we'd still like talk every now and again, but we weren't as, like, you know, close as we were when we were in uni. But now we are. Right?
Yeah. Love you.
Even though I never answer my phone, I'm so sorry.
I'm like, I'll just try it.
I'm the worst, bro. Honestly, I'm the worst. I don't answer anyone.
We're adults. It's okay. I really don't ever apologize for any of that stuff. I'm not the type of friend that's like, oh my God, talk to me. I need your attention.
Nah, neither.
So I'm like, if you don't answer, I'm like, okay, she's busy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, when she's not busy, yep, she'll come back.
Yeah,
she'll be right.
Exactly. But yeah, so this was the first close death I've experienced, and like never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that it would be him to go before me, pretty much. And before that, I think in 2013 or 12, around then, my nana's sister passed, and we were quite close. She was only in her 50s. She was very young. And when she was in hospital, we were told, "Oh, it's fine." Because my dad was like, "Do I need to come and see her?" Because we're all very close, close-knit families, small families are very close all the time. And we were reassured that she was fine and she'll be out of hospital soon, and it's nothing too major. And then when we got news that she had passed, I felt kind of betrayed, to be honest, because I wanted to see her when she was alive.
Just,
And
to say bye.
yeah, and so my parents couldn't go because we were in Australia, so my parents couldn't go back to NZ. So I went to NZ, and I had done a speech with my cousin. I also call her my nana. I don't call her my aunt. So she was there for us when we first moved to New Zealand. She, helped us, drove us around, took us to appointments. She, celebrated our birthdays for us. She was just an all around, like, amazing woman. And her loss is still felt in the family because she was so, so amazing. But it gives me comfort knowing that my brother is probably with her. They're probably, talking about all the memories and watching
Hey,
us.
talking
And
shit about everyone.
yeah, exactly. And he's probably got the latest goss and he's filling her in.
Oh
The
my
first thing is my
god.
sister's a bitch, and let me tell you why. Oh, but yeah, it's hard some days. Some days I feel like I don't want to function and I don't want to get out of bed and I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
And and sometimes, I'm driving in my car and I'm like, holy fuck, is that really what happened? You just go through the grieving process, and it's sometimes I'm mostly in denial. I'm like, he's just gone off on a holiday. I'll see him later kind of thing.
Yep,
I
that's what
can't
I
cope otherwise.
neither. Like
Yeah.
I said, earlier on, your brain plays tricks on you so that you stay. It's a survival thing. It's
Yes.
like, I'm pretty sure it's like a scientific survival technique.
Yeah. Yeah. And my parents, we talk about him every day. Like, since his passing, every single day we talk about him. Mistakenly, we call my son by his name. Um, it's so shocking. My son looks exactly like him when he was his age. Spitting
Oh,
image. Crazy. Like, we're just like, whoa, he looks and his mannerisms are similar. His, like, the way he acts, the way, like, his cheekiness. It's also similar. It's like having him back again.
do you know what made me die the other day, we?
What?
When Anna was wiping the floor. Oh my god, bro, he makes my ovaries explode. And he's just like looking up at you like cheeky as like, did I do it right?
Yeah, he spilt milk, and then we're like, nah, you're gonna have to clean it up yourself. So when you speak to him, you have to be very direct. So I'm like, go to the kitchen, get the hand towel, bring it back, wipe it, okay? So he did exactly that.
Girl, that's really good communication for because a lot of young kids just nah.
Nah, because you know what it is? I don't speak to my child like he's a baby. I speak to him like he's a grown-ass adult.
Yeah, yeah, that's the best way.
I don't do the goo goo gaga bullshit. That's no.
I won't be doing that either. Fine.
Yeah. And that's why he's speaking now. He's saying words. He's like understanding what we're saying to him. So,
Wow.
yeah, intelligent. For now, he's intelligent.
Kitty.
I know. I want to have more, but I don't.
Oh, girl, I go through those stages where I'm like, oh my god, I'd love to have kids, and then I'm like, actually, fuck that. I love my sleep.
I haven't slept properly since he was born.
Bro, I'm so sorry. I feel for you. I'm for you.
But yeah,
All the energy in the world.
yes. But you know what? He gives me strength. He
Yeah.
gives me a purpose to keep on moving forward. And my husband has been an amazing support. I don't like pity. I don't want pity,
Yeah.
but some days are hard. And some
Yeah.
days I just need to, like, just stop and just sit down and collect myself again and then keep going. Because some days I'm like crying in my car, and that's so dangerous because, like, I can't see. Like, stop crying. And like, you know, sometimes his like he loved Pop Smoke, and sometimes when I hear like my playlist, Pop Smoke comes up, and like I start like bawling sometimes. Like, he really liked this fucking song. It's fucking a banger, but he fucking liked it. So like it's just little things that kind of remind you of him, and like obviously his room is untouched. My mom spends a lot of time in there. I sometimes go in there. Um, his sneakers are all there. His colorful jackets, his colorful clothes. We wear his clothes when we miss him. But yeah, those are just that's all we've got left. So like when you like, you know how we care so much about material things, don't. Memories are what matters. Be
Yeah.
nice.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining our episode today about grief and loss. If you are going through or struggling with grief and loss as well, we'll put some links and resources down the bottom in the description box for you. And we hope that some of the things that we spoke about today are really helping you through your own grieving journey too. And our DMs are always open if you need to have a chat, if you need to have a yarn with us. And yeah, thank you for watching our episode, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.